What's going on, everybody? What's happening out there? My name is Slugger, King Slugger, and this is my new podcast, The Lethal Truth. As I mentioned before, this is about everything that's the truth. No propaganda in the machines. I'm not trying to spread no rumors to get views. Like I said, I'm be talking about everything: street politics, prison politics, health politics, economic politics, chemical warfare politics. I'm gonna be talking about everything that some podcasters don't talk about. Of course, I'm gonna be talking about the gang banging culture. I'm not trying to get into that with who's snitching and who's this and who's that. That's what I'm not here for. I'm not here to shit on nobody. I'm not here to try to knock anybody's reputation, because I think, when you run the streets or whatever, especially when you gang banging, everybody contributes to an organization. You know what I mean? Whatever goes in within that organization, I believe it's that organization's business. You know what I mean? We always going to get two sides to a story, So with that, hold on a second. I'm getting hot in here. Yeah, pardon me for that. It was getting a little too hot. You know what I mean? So I had to take my sweater off. But like I said, so I'm gonna be talking about prison politics. You know what I'm saying? So let's get right into it. You know what I mean? I know I don't got a view of it, but that's all right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna continue to go along with the prison politics. And whoever log on later on. Y'all watch this. Enjoy. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit this like button. After you hearing what you're hearing. So the prison system, first and foremost, this country, America, was built on slavery. It was built on lies. It was built on technology. This country was never built on peace. At one point in time, it was peaceful until the Europeans came over and they saw the people of color, and they figured, they had to get their own homeland, their own everything situated, and they have to do it by force. So this country was built on, violence. It had to have slavery in order for the Europeans to have an economic growth and an economic background in order to proceed and to build a country for themselves by themselves. So we're going to fast forward to 1865, where we know in the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, it says that slavery is abolished. And Abraham Lincoln, he declared that, but he didn't want slaves to be free, as he said. He said in his own speech that he wasn't advocating for the freedom of slaves. You know what I'm saying? He was saying one thing in the North and he was saying something else in the South. And a lot of people in the South wasn't feeling it because white people at that time felt like they had no social skills. They had no economic skills where they were good with their hands. It was always the slaves that was building stuff for them to live comfortable in society and have a certain name to themselves that built wealth. And they built their wealth from the backs of poor people, slaves, black people, people of color. So when 1865 came and Abraham Lincoln decided to abolish slavery, he stated that if I could have saved the Union, which means the army in the North that was fighting the South, he said, if I was able to save the Union in the war, I would have never freed the slaves. But in order for him to win in the North and to win the whole country, he saw a bigger picture. He said, look, I will sacrifice and free the slaves because there's nobody that's going to fight harder than the slaves. And sure enough, when he freed the slaves, they fought hard as hell. You know what I'm saying? And they won. The North won. Barely. They barely won. But they won. So slavery was abolished, and it was put in the Constitution as the 13th Amendment. But then it stated, it said slavery is abolished and there's no longer servitude except, and it goes in parentheses, except if convicted of a crime. So here it is. You have the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, that is made, but at the same time that is made, it contradicts itself. It says slavery is abolished, except if convicted of a crime. So here it is. We need a system to have people be put back in servitude based on a crime that they committed. And at that time, white people ruled and people of color didn't. So who was going to fill up the prison system? So, of course, around that time, black people wasn't committing no crimes, because you in the South and all of that, you committed a crime, you wasn't getting no arrested, you was getting killed. You was getting killed in front of the cops, and the cops would just write it up and say, oh, well, they'll call the sheriff or lawmakers or law enforcement. So around that time, the police officers was in the midst, and they was there prior to slavery being abolished. Bear with me, I'm getting somewhere. And they started the police department. The police department was designed to catch runaway slaves. So what they would do, they would patrol the grounds of their county to see if they ran into slaves. Now, if they ran into a slave, they would say, what the hell you doing here, boy? Oh, girl, let me see your papers. So the papers consist of your slave master writing you permission for you to go from point A to point B, or wherever it needs for you to go, for him or her to benefit them by you purchasing something for the land or for the house or what have you. This was considered your ID. So if you didn't have your papers, which was considered your ID, you was a runaway slave and you got arrested because you didn't have ID. It sounds familiar? All right, we're getting to something. So we fast forward. We're going to fast forward this. So around, I would say in the 80s, they really needed the prison system to be built up, because around that time, it was more revolutionaries in the 70s, in the 60s, and the 50s from the civil rights movement going into the prison system. But they was going in there not gangbanging. They was going in there with a strong mind. And they was on some revolutionary stuff in the prison system where they was trying to make changes for the people of color. You know what I'm saying? So they figured they would have to change things. They would have to change the mindset, and they would have to change the prison system, because they realized that the prison system was becoming more populated with people, and it was building them great wealth. So around that time now, and around the 80s, you had private companies started purchasing the prison system, purchasing prisons from the government, because America is in debt. So when you're in debt, you have to sell off assets. So they started selling the prisons to private corporations. Now, all these private corporations, they started to purchase these prisons. They started making money. Well, now you started getting entertainers like Michael Jordan. They started investing their stocks into the prison system. So now they need people, human beings as a stock market. So each person was an insurance policy. There were a stock. No, seriously. If you go to prison right now As soon as you go into the system, you have a life insurance policy on you. I'm going to say that again. When you go to prison, you have a life insurance policy on you from the government and from the private owners of the prison. Check that out. So, as that started to transform and formulate, the record label said, hey, well, listen, we got to gear people up into getting into the prison system. So, guess what happened? You had a dude named Schoolie D that came out, and he brought out what is called gangster rap. He was from Philly, and he was the first ones that was saying the F word, was saying shit and all of that stuff on the record. But he wasn't hardcore with it. Like he was pretty much saying things that Ron DMC wasn't saying, what Fat Boys wasn't saying. He was pretty much talking about being in the streets. He got his 9mm. He was selling drugs. And around this time, the crack era hit. So the rappers, they was just dressed regular, because they never came out with the big gold chains and all of that in the 70s. A lot of y'all that's looking at this right now, a lot of you was born in the 80s. Y'all was born in the 90s and 2000s. You don't know nothing about what I'm talking about. But you will, and you will see where I'm getting at. So the rappers, they was dressed regular. And they would come around and the females would love the rappers because they were celebrities. But the rappers wasn't getting the fame they wanted to get because the drug dealers had the fame. The drug dealers had all the money because rappers wasn't getting that type of money as they was getting. Well, they ain't really getting that much money now, but they getting more money now than they were back then. And they wasn't getting it like that. It was the crack dealers that was getting it back then. And right back then, you were selling a kilo in like 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? So you had these dudes, these drug dealers that would come out in groups and they would have all these big gold chains and diamonds. And well, around that time, not too many people was rocking diamonds, but they had the big rope chains, and a lot of rappers, they was excited about that. They wanted to emulate that. You know what I'm saying? So you had people like LL Cool J. He had the LL Cool J 4-finger ring, but the first one that had that was Outlaw. You see what I'm saying? So rappers was trying to dress like the drug dealers. I don't know how now the drug dealers are trying to dress like the rappers. That's out of my mind. I don't know how that happened, but but they started wanting to dress like the drug dealers. They wanted to act like the drug dealer. So what happened now, they started to get into their music and they started to sound a little bit harder. So now guys like me growing up, we're hearing this and we like, yeah, now we see the drug dealers acting one way and we hear the rap music. So now we're trying to be both. We're trying to be the rappers and we're trying to be the drug dealers or look like the drug dealers. But we can't do that because we don't have funds. So now guys like me, we want to sell drugs. You see what I'm saying? So now you had someone come out called NWA. The prison system started really flourishing. You had songs like "I Never Want to Go to Rikers Island." Like everybody started making songs about Rikers Island now. That was the thing to go to jail. So they're pushing this through the radio. They're pushing this through the media. They're pushing this through music. So guys like me, we're hearing it and we're like, yo, music is changing. So now NWA comes out. F the police. F the police. We started calling women bitches. We started using hardcore profanity now in music, which never happened. You know what I'm saying? So it took a big transition of where this thing was going. Now everybody was talking about selling drugs. Everybody was talking about killing. Everybody was talking about they had a crew. You know what I'm saying? The Bloods and the Crips didn't come yet. But it was always gangs in New York City. But it was more now coming into the music. So again, guys like me, we're hearing it. Now we come out the house. We hear the music, we want our gun, we want to be like the drug dealers, we want to get money. Like I said, I don't know how at one point in time the rappers wanted to be the drug dealers. Now the drug dealers want to be the rappers. You know what I'm saying? So now people is in the streets committing a lot of crime based on the music because it was about, just killing now. Everybody was coming out with gangster stuff. You had once NWA came out, then you had Ice-T. He came out with his gangster stuff. You had Coogee Rap on the East Coast. He came out with his gangster stuff. You still had Schoolie D coming out with their gangster stuff. And then around that time, you still had conscious rappers. You had people like Eric African Bombada. You had Public Enemy. You had Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian. You had Eric B. and Rakim. You had a lot of artists that was talking a lot of righteous stuff, positive stuff. You had people like Slick Rick. He wasn't even cursing. LL wasn't even cursing. None of these dudes was like cursing in their music. You see what I'm saying? So we had like a positive impact. I remember one point in time, we used to walk around with the big African medallions. Now, check it out. Check out how music influenced you. I had no clue what the hell I was doing, to be honest. I really didn't. But everybody in the hood was wearing these African leather medallions with the African leather hats with the African sound on it. We was more like emulating X-Clan. It was more of a cultural thing now. You know what I'm saying? So I guess the enemy saw that and was like, we ain't gonna fill up these prison systems like that. So they started to push gangster rap more out, more out, more out, even on the radio, and less conscious music now. Which now, as you can see today, what conscious music you hearing? I'll wait. Give me one. I make it easy for you. Give me one conscious rap. Oh, you may say Raspity. Okay. That's a female. But that's it. You got no other positive conscious music. They first we thought Kendrick Lamar was on the road, but they distracted him to go against his own kind. See how that works? So as I said, we started getting into the gangster rap. Now the prison system is flooding because now the coke era came, the crack era came. Ronald Reagan, he got in the office around the 80s and he was trying to finance the war in Nicaragua with in Panama with Noriega. So he had to get the drugs through the CIA to give it to Rick Ross to flood America with cocaine. You see how that go? Now, what hood you think that was going to? Think about that. This is all a setup, but you ain't seeing it. I'm bringing it down to 2024 because ain't nothing changed. It got worse. It got worse for the young brothers out here. They don't even see it. But look, so now a person like me, I grow up. I'm in a gang, called Wolfpack, and I'm from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. And we got into the gun wars. You know what I'm saying? We got into the street wars, the gangster wars. And around early 90s, guns was a misdemeanor. So imagine walking around with a 44 Magnum and you get stopped by the police. You don't care. You're like, what, I'm gonna go to jail for 2 weeks? It's a misdemeanor. And more than likely, you got it in the fourth degree. You'll go through the system and get time served through the bookings for a 44 Magnum. Try that today. You know why it ain't like that today? Because prison is losing money. Hello, we gonna get to it. So I'm in jail. This is like 94. And a transition took place because a lot of the gang culture started to come. I would get into a whole like gang culture another time because we're talking about prison and government politics. So around this time I'm in prison, Giuliani, he takes office as mayor of New York City. Governor Pataki, he takes governor of New York City. No, Mayor Giuliani takes mayor of New York City. Pataki takes governor of New York City. So Pataki now, he got all his people in office, in the parole boards and everything. So now this is around, you could say 97, DMX comes out. Where my dog's at? He changed the face of New York City and the labels. He helped the labels unknowingly because around this time, the Bloods were so heavy in New York City, they used to call each other dogs. So the record label started to push this narrative, and everybody wanted to show that they was in the gang culture on the videos. So they started to push this mentality through the videos. They started to push this mentality through the music. So now you had Rough Riders, you had Jay-Z talking his drug dealer music, you had the South. Everybody was talking about drug dealing and killing niggas. And the women, we get to that another time, but we're talking about the prison system. So while this gang culture was being pushed through the records and being pushed through the music out into society, the record labels, the owners, the white people in power made sure that they pushed it not only heavy, excuse me, through music, but they pushed it heavy through the radio stations. And this is all you heard all day. And then around this time, Giuliani had started the stop and frisk. So everybody out there gangbanging now around 97, 98. And here go Giuliani with the stop and frisk. So now you got stopped. You don't have ID on you, you get arrested. Because those are your slave papers. You got to have slave papers or you'll be a runaway slave. See, nothing changed. You only think it changed because they come up with these laws that's an illusion. And you think you got some rights because you say it's in the law. You ever heard the saying, the people that makes the rules break the rules? You know what I'm saying? Didn't Biden's son just get found now guilty? What happened? What Biden did? He told, no, it's expunged. You're free to go. Who make the rules, break the rules. But let's get to it. So, wow, Giuliani has all these people coming into Rikers Island. They got warrants. They got weapons on them. You know what I'm saying? Then as you get caught up in this fake indictments with gang culture, people snitching on each other. You understand? Because now, thanks to the RICO and the mafia, that they made snitching so safe for the federal government and for the community. The federal government spent $2.5 billion a year protecting snitches. I'm going to say that again. They spend $2.5 billion a year protecting snitches. You get a new location, you get a new social security, and you get a job. You get a location where nobody knows you. They just tell you don't come back. That's it. They made snitching easy now. They got even snitches in jail that's surviving. We're going to get to that too. You understand? Because I always hear that people say, oh, yo, snitching ain't part of the game. Who told you that? Snitching always been part of the game. That's why they always tell you be aware for snitches. Stop letting them fool you in them streets talking about snitching ain't part of the game. Every crew has a rat. You ever heard this saying? There's a snitch in a crew that don't even know they're a snitch yet until the situation presents itself. But let's get back to what we're talking about. So now Giuliani got everybody going into Rikers Island, right? He got all these young kids in DFY Division for Youth, SPARFIT or whatever. They're getting railroaded because Giuliani got all his people in office in the city. Which means now the people in the record labels, when it's time to vote, they're going to finance him because he's helping them make their stocks go up while you in the community is going to jail. And you ain't even getting a fair trial. You're not even getting a fair case because as soon as you get locked up, You know you ain't got no money, so you get a legal aid. You know who the legal aid work for? The legal aid society works for the district attorney's office. Check that out. Legal aid society works for the district attorney's office. And after they get a couple of cases that they done with, they become prosecutors. That's their whole job. So when they get hired, they get a whole stack. You see, like this. They said, "Hey, this is your caseload." So now they go in the back where you at in the bookings, and they said, what's your name? Oh yeah, so and so and so, yeah. All right. You locked up for robbery in the first, possession of a weapon and degree. Man, this is just your arraignment in the bookings. And they go, okay, do you think you can make bail? You're like, damn, you ain't even put up a fight yet. Like, I don't know. Okay, well, they might be offering you the 2 to 6. Damn, you ain't even put up a fight. He don't want to put up a fight because he got a caseload like this with mad people he got to see. The less people he deal with, the better. So he want to get rid of your case as soon as possible. He's not going to no law office and researching your case to help you out. If you ain't got no money to save your ass, then so what? You on your own. See, you don't see it coming. So now you're on Rikers Island, you're doing whatever you want to do. The law library, the books is there, it's outdated all the way from back, whatever the case. Most of us don't even know how to read. So us going to law library, we don't even understand what we're looking for. We don't even understand the legal terms that's being mentioned. When you stand up in front of court and you stand there and they talk, everything is going in one ear and out the other because they're speaking a different language. A language they went to school for. You're speaking hood language, broken English, where they consider no proper education and no proper language. So you ain't even on that level, but you run in the streets. I understand, I did too. I didn't know, but I'm telling you now. So now you take a plea, you go upstate. Now you put a burden on your family. Well, it was a burden on them anyway, as soon as you got locked up, right? So now you upstate. Now you're up there in the Pataki world, the state, right? Now, Pataki had it set up where all violent felons did not make the parole board. All violent felons did not make the parole board. Not your first, not your second. They wanted you to CR, which is called your conditional release. So now you have to take whatever program you have to take to get out of prison if you recommend loss of good time due to whatever misbehavior reports you have received. But if you was nonviolent, you was able to go home early and so forth because they know they wasn't going to get too much flack through politics with nonviolent crime. Nonviolent criminals. But violent criminals, everybody wants violent criminals to stay in jail. So now when you're upstate, they have something called the census. The census consists of the population of that community. So whatever prison system is in that county, it automatically goes to that town. So now every 10 years, when it's time for that state, not that state, that county to get money to build up their community, they count all the prisoners as part of that community. No, you don't live in Brooklyn no more when you get locked up. You don't live in Harlem no more when you get locked up. You don't live in the Bronx. You don't live in Queens. You don't live in Long Island. You don't live in Staten Island when you get locked up anymore. And you upstate. You're a part of that community. So now they get all the money to that community and they build up all of their stores. They build up all their land. And you know who they are? Most of them is COs that work for the prison system because they ain't got nothing up there but little horses and cots. So here it is, you on the street talking about you representing and you setting yourself up to go to jail to build a community for a community you ain't never seen and never going to anyway. But you don't know this. You don't know this. Then now what they're doing in the prison system upstate, they're telling people your parents can't bring you food packages. You have to order it from their vendors. You know who their vendors is? Their vendors are the people that works with them. Their people and their community. When you go on a visit and you go buy food, guess who vending machine that belongs to on the visit? Theirs. Their community. They're telling you now you can't even buy clothes and bring it up to your people. They want you to order it from a vendors. Who owns the vendors? Their community. And meanwhile, you upstate and you talking about you want to put in work. So now here it is. You trashing everything around you because now you want to make a name for yourself. You in prison. Everybody who you know got a name, and you want to be part of the crowd because you want to fit in. And that's some of our problem. We want to fit into the prison system instead of fitting in at home. You know, when I was locked up, I used to see the burden I put on my family and my wife. And my wife used to come up every week. I'm talking about every week, Saturday or Sunday. If I went to Elmira, she would go up there when I was in reception. She would go up there and check me out in the reception area. You know what I'm saying? And spending crazy money. This is the burden we putting on our peoples. And then we turn around and we asking for money. Let me tell you something. When you get locked up, you are a baby. You are a baby that beg for everything. You see, because a baby can't walk, it can't do anything for itself. And that's the situation you have become when you get locked up. You can't do nothing for yourself. So every time you call, you got to beg. And that's why people don't want to pick up your phone too, because they know you got to beg. Some of y'all left your mans in the street. Your mans ain't coming to see you. They wasn't coming to see the dudes you knew that was locked up before you got locked up. And you wasn't going to see them. And now you mad at your mans because you feel like they shitting on you. Nah, that's just part of the game. You did it to everybody else. Now you get locked up and you expect your mans to come through for you. Come on now, it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? When you get locked up, that's a big bill. That's like, that's like having money for rent. I know, I'm serious. Because let me tell you something. They gotta have money for your clothes. If you're on Rikers Island, you gotta have money every week if you want to use the phone. And you gotta pay for the phone calls. Guess who the money going to? Not you. See, tell you prison is a big business. You know what I'm saying? So now, not only that, you got to get money for commissary. So you every week and all day in the city, you paying for phone calls. Then by the time you get the commissary, you got to get more money because you done spent like $50 on the phone. Now you calling your people and asking for money at the last minute, and you know they ain't got it. And then when they tell you don't got it, you mad at them. Now you think people shitting on you, but yet you put yourself in this situation. I used to be like that too. I used to be like, yo, niggas shitting on me. Oh, yo, my family shitting on me. But you don't understand the situation you putting yourself in. Especially especially if you've been in jail. Excuse me. Especially if you've been in jail more than 2 or 3 times. So you should know. You should know better. When I got locked up the last time, I told my wife, I said, yo, don't worry about it, man. This guy I see when I get home. And she was like, why you want me to do that? I'm not doing that. I'm here with you. But I understood because I had that knowledge, like, yo, listen, I put myself in this situation again. Yeah, I messed up. I put myself in this situation again, and I didn't want to take her through that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the consequences of that, especially when, you know, they break out on you and they say, yo, listen, I found somebody else and I got pregnant. I know someone like that right now, dealing with somebody else and her man locked up and she got, you know, pregnant. You know what I'm saying? I know a few females like that. You know what I mean? And the dudes that get mad. Let me ask you something. As a guy, if you got locked up, if your female got locked up that day, would you be sexually loyal for her? She told you she got to lay up on the island for about a year or 6 months. 9 out of 10, you wouldn't do that because you cheating. You've been cheating on her before she got locked up anyway. So just imagine Her locked up and you out there. And you walking around in this summertime, you got all these butt cheeks hanging out with these little shorts on and these pretty toes and their hair done, and you going to the party. You drinking, you smoking, you popping E's or whatever. You sexually loyal? You using condoms? Some of y'all ain't even doing that. But you get mad at the female when she tell you she got pregnant by somebody else. It probably wasn't her intention. She got caught up. But this is the ripple effect of the prison system, prison politics. Now, when people break out on you while you in prison, you say to yourself, you know what? I don't even care about society no more. I get home whenever I get home. Now you want to bust your gun. Now you got new charges. And now you feel like you don't care because nobody in society care for you. But you're unknown to you. The longer you stay in prison, the more money you making for a system that don't belong to you. You know how much money the prison system make? They make bills. You know? Let me tell you something. When about 2000, the prison system was so packed with Giuliani and Pataki in office. No, I mean, really, nobody was going home like that. I mean, literally everywhere. Everybody knew you had a violent account. Oh yeah, you ain't making a boy. Everybody knew it. Let me tell you what happened. It got so packed that in 1995, matter of fact, 1995, they started putting double bunks in the jail, and one in maximum security jails and in mediums. In like one cell, they would put an extra bed. This was the first step they took. They was testing the waters. So everybody decided to protest. It was like, yo, this ain't the West Coast. This ain't the South. We ain't bunking, because they never had double bunks in New York. So we all protested. We was in the cells. We ain't come out. And what happened was they was like, yo, listen, because the COs was feeding us. They was giving us our mail. And you know, how are you protesting? You got the COs feeding you. You know what they was doing, our food? This is what you put in. So listen, when you want to put work in and you want to join all this gang and all that stuff in society, this is what you're going to have to go through. So I'm letting you know ahead of time. All right. All right. So they said, listen, all the people with the 95 numbers that came up in 1995 don't have to double bunk. You know what I'm saying? All of y'all that's up here, y'all got a double bunk. This is how they played the technology game, because the enemy, that's what they do. They always use word semantics. Word semantics means words that is said on one level but has a hidden meaning to it. You understand what I'm saying? So this is word semantics. So the word semantic was those that's already in the jail and upstate with a 95 number don't have to go in, have to double bunk. But those of you that's already up here in the jail don't have to double bunk. But they didn't catch it. Only if you're in the prison. Once they left the prison, they was in double bunks. I don't care if you had a 75 number, you was double bunk. So a lot of people went to the box because they refused. I had some box times, so they came and got me, and then they wanted to take me out, and it was like, we're going to take you out early. Do you want a double bunk? And I was like, nah, give me all my time. I'm not doing that. So they put me back in the box. But what they did now, eventually I finished my box time, and they was like, yo, it's time for you to come out. What you going to do? Eventually I came out because I was the only idiot that was protesting in the system, because they used divide and conquer. That's one thing about the prison system. They always talking about, yo, we protesting, and there's always some word semantic thing going on. And then you have a speaker for the whole jail tell everybody one thing and everybody fold and it's over. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hate protesters in prison. I think it's all a game and a joke. So around 99, Pataki decided that he wanted to build double bunk jails, because since nobody was going home, guess what? The prison system was growing. So he opened up Governor S Block. S Block is a SHU jail. These is jails with people that's in there for 23 hours a day. I say 24. And the reason why I say 24, because when you're in a cell and it's rec time, all they do is open the back door and there's a cage there. but you still really in your cell. So it's like you never went nowhere. So you're in the cell for 24 hours a day. So they had Governor S Block, Marcel S Block. Upstate box was the biggest box. It was like 1,000 people in there, and everybody was double bunk at one time. At that time in that jail. So the prison was growing, and everybody was getting box time. Now, normally in those jails, if you had keep lock time, you do your keep lock time in your cell in population, but you're confined 23 hours a day. But in these S blocks, you did your keep lock time and your box time in those jails. So it was like you was in a box with keep lock time. They had you in the cell for 24 hours a day. I had 3 years at one time doing this shit. So this was crazy, and but this is how they was making their money. So now another person would be like, "I'm double bunking." Oh no, yeah, you're not double bunking. The other person would be like, "No," and they'll put you in the cell. Now y'all fight each other. Now you get written up, and you get written up. Now y'all got more box time. Now you got more time to stay in the box. You got more time to stay in jail. Why? Because you got written up. Why? Because when you got written up, they recommended loss of good time. So when you go to time allowance committee, and they say, hey, you got to recommend loss of good time. What it was for? Fighting, or you got to do another violent program. So we're going to take the 6 months they took from you and you got 6 months to do your program. If you come back and you don't finish that program, we're going to take some more good time. And you might max out. This is the bullshit that they was doing. And our families, excuse me, get some water. So, excuse me. So our families was more concerned with us about coming home, and they felt like, yo, what's going on? You say you're not doing that, you're not getting written up. Why are you not coming home? And our family, we telling our families like, yo, listen, I don't know what's going on. Like they're not letting me go. Me, a perfect example. Again, me. My last time coming home, I got written up one time. It was a tier 2, which is no ticket for loss of good time. They can't recommend no loss of good time. They gave me something like 7 days because I think I got to the program late or I missed my program. So out of that 4 years, I got written up one time. One time. No other tickets. When I went to the parole board, I went early. Because I had a nonviolent crime. They denied me, even though I finished my drug program. They denied me because they said I had violent crime and violent behavior in the prison system. My last pass bids. So what? So I'm being punished because of my last bid? Yes, that's what they do. When you go to the parole board, this is what they do. They trying to figure out ways to keep you in prison. So you go to the parole board and they read off your case, the crime you committed. They talk about what you did. They talk about what you did in the prison system. And then they ask you if you want to say anything. And you say your spill, you try to sound good, and then they'll be to tell you, okay, we'll send you a letter in the mail and let you know what we think. You don't get your decision right then and there. So here you are back in your cell, hoping and praying. Then the letter comes. If it's thick, you got hit. If it's like real thin and it's one paper, you got parole. So everybody knew it. So when you got your name called, you went to the officer's desk and you grabbed that envelope and it was thick, you just said. But now here you go, you open it. And when you open it, it tells you you're denied parole. And when it tells you you're denied parole, it tells you because of the nature of your crime. Mind you already doing the time for the crime you committed. Now you got to stay longer because they telling you for the nature of your crime. What is the nature? Aren't you doing time for the nature? But that's the gimmick, so you could stay in prison longer, so people like Michael Jordan can make money. For people like the record labels who push gangster rap, for people to gang bang and kill one another to go to jail so they can make money. And I ain't mad at them, because if I owned the record label and I had stocks in the prison system, I'd push all the gangster rap out, because I want you to sell drugs and get locked up so I can make money. This is Wall Street, baby. This is big business. This is not about justice or right or wrong. That's for people who don't understand this type of life, that the economic warfare, who don't understand this. They will complain and say, oh, it's supposed to be about fairness and justice. No, it's not. It's about money. Convicted of a crime. Slavery is abolished except convicted of a crime. So now, not only you denied parole and you can't go home, and your people is wondering what the hell you got to be lying to them, because why you're not being letting go. You're doing everything you're supposed to. Well, they don't understand the system like you now, because you're in there. But even though you're in there, you kind of really don't understand most of it. But you have a clear, more understanding than them. You understand? So now you frustrated. You can't get out of jail. You're like, what's going on? You understand? So here go most of the slavery part, because that part, you're a slave right there. You're a slave because they're making money off of you. That's what they did in slavery back then, right? They made money off of you, right? Human labor. So now you get a job in the prison system. Check you out. You know what I find so ironic? Prison is the only place a black man can always find a job. Prison is the only place a black woman can only find a job. I won't say only, but can always find a job. There's no such thing as a prison system where you can't find no work. Isn't that something? That's interesting. So now when you get hired, 9 out of 10, they tell you they want you to be a porter, or they want you to work in a mess hall. What's a porter? A porter is like a janitor. You clean up the prison. Slaves. That's what you do. And you get paid about 5 cents an hour. That's slave wager for cleaning up a multi-billion-dollar business. So now you get all of that money at the end of 2 weeks, because they pay you every 2 weeks. And you get paid about $12. You work for 6 hours on your job. And by the end of 2 weeks, you got about $10 to $12. Now you got compensated. Who is the money going back to? I rest my case. Just like when your family send you money and through JPay or money orders, and you got to go to compensate, who the money goes to? I rest my case. But you don't see it, because you out there, yeah. And I dig it. And I understand. But it's setting you up, man. It's setting all of y'all up. You know, when I was in Auburn, I was working in the industry. They were saying industry was the biggest place where you get to get money. So I was trying to get to the industry. You know, the most people get paid in the industry? About 50 something cents. 50 something cents. That's big money in the prison system. And you will go to commissary like $45. You're like, yeah. But guess who's getting the $45 back? And all they give you is a bunch of junk food, because that's all commissaries sell. Sugar and salt. Candies. And cakes. And a bunch of food that's processed with a bunch of sodium. Ain't nothing healthy in there. Not even the food is called Quick Chill. You know what Quick Chill is? All right, let me tell you what Quick Chill is. Quick Chill. You ever got you ever got the oatmeal that says Quick Oats, and you get pour hot water on it and you stir it up? That's Quick Chill. That's what they use in there. There's no such thing as real food in there. Not even the chicken. The only thing is real in there, to be honest. The only thing that is real is probably the boiled eggs. Probably. Everything else is fake. There's nothing that's real in that system that you eat. They got powdered eggs. They got fake grits. They got the fishes that's made up like so, but like vegan material, but it's not vegan. This is why when I was there, I never wanted to go to the mess hall unless they had cake or something or coffee cake. That was like my best. Other than that, I never went to the mess hall. You'll die. They'll kill you in there. Even the medications is different. They give you medications in there that they give you is not the same medications that you would get in the hospitals. And the hospitals and everything like that is too expensive. So what they give you in the prison system is some watered down medication that will make you more sicker and kill you. Not saying they want to kill you because you're worth more to them alive than dead. That's why when you see people come home, they fat in their face because everything they eating is fat and salt and sugar. So they eating all this junk food and they eating all this fat and they blowing up and they working out. So now they coming home and they looking healthy, but they really not healthy. They just look it. Because when you're running a farm, you got to figure out a ways how to fatten your cows. This is the life of the prison system. And I decided to make this topic based on the prison system today because I thought it was more important. I thought it was important to reach out to the people in my community that's running the streets that don't know what's going on. It's a reason why they got cameras everywhere. It's a reason why. They was talking about having cameras everywhere in the 90s. We thought it was bull. We was like, yeah, picture that. Now they did it. They got cameras everywhere. They even got doorbell cameras. You can't do nothing. This is why I don't even understand with y'all young brothers. Y'all do stuff. Even the older dudes my age. Y'all still doing crimes out there when they got cameras everywhere. Let me tell you something. The other day, I wanted to beat somebody up. I'm talking about literally, I wanted to bust his head open, right? But every time I want to do it, I start thinking about the things that I'm going to lose. Because it's hard to get away with anything doing. You can't really even get into a fight. You go to jail for DV or something. Not DV, excuse me. You go to jail for assault. You know what I mean? Oh, you hit him? Assault. Because I got arrested like that. Somebody said, oh, he punched me and I never did. I really never did. We had an argument. But she called the cops and said, he hit me. And I got locked up for assault. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? The case got dismissed. But this is the setup they have in society for young people. And what they do is they figure either you're going to be a house nigga or you're going to be a jail nigga. Now, what's the difference? The difference is they start to program you through grade school. So you know how some of you young brothers be like, yo, nah, I be at school. I ain't feeling school. Like, I want to go to school, but it's boring. See, you the ones that they're going to catch that's going to either be, you're going to be the field nigga. You're going to be the jail nigga because you're rebelling against a program where you want to do things yourself. So they have a trap for you. As a matter of fact, they had this too a couple of years ago. It was on, I think it was on PBS where they have a maze. And they put the mice there and they try to they let the mice figure out its way. So they put blockage to direct your path. You see what I'm saying? So they'll put the education there and they'll be like, we're trying to target the people of color. What kind of education? Give them some boring education. Let's talk about Frederick Douglass, but give them about a page and a half. Or talk about really nothing. Talk about Martin Luther King. Let them talk about I Have a Dream. Although Martin Luther King said in his dream, after that speech, he said, I felt that my dream turned into a nightmare and I'm leading my people into a burning house. But they don't play. They don't play that interview. You know what I mean? They want you to believe in the dream. So you get bored with that. Then they tell you about Malcolm X and they make you hate the Nation of Islam, a person that they're against. So you could team up with them mentally and be with Malcolm and say, Malcolm said all white people are friendly. And now you start reading the Caucasians' history, and it's so glorious. And you don't see yourself in it. Now you rebel against the education because it's not teaching you how to be independent. It's teaching you how to be subservient by leaving the school system, going to be a slave for somebody else on the plantation. So now when you leave school, you go to college. Excuse me, high school. You go to college. So now they know, okay, we got a program nigga. He's going to college. She's going to college. And you want this piece of paper. You want a piece of paper that says that you mastered something. I got a master's degree. But you haven't mastered your emotions. You haven't mastered the economic world. You haven't mastered your knowledge of yourself. But yet you got a paper saying you're a master. Meanwhile, you, in order to get that degree, you had to take out a student loan. Now you're in debt. Debt is slavery. Now you're in debt. Now you're frustrated. I'm tired of this goddamn working. Now you really want to sell drugs, but you're scared. So now they have you programmed. You're the house nigga. And you're just there to build up their economic world in the working world. Now your social security numbers exist. When you're in prison, your social security numbers don't exist. You do not exist. It's when your social security is not active, you're nobody. The only thing you exist to society is your family and friends, not to the working world. You don't exist. You're not even breathing. They really have to dig for your birth certificate if you tell them that you exist. Because your social will say you don't exist. Well, it would say you exist, but you're not making a living. So now you hear this, like I said, with your program nigga, you're in the house, you're in the house as a house nigga. Now, once you get your degrees, you go and leave the working world about $80,000 in debt, living with somebody because you don't have no money to get your own apartment. So you're struggling. Slavery. This country can't survive without it. You know. So now you're frustrated, and now here you are working for someone that you don't even like working for. Here it is, you have a job that you hate. That's a hell of a thing to have a job, a degree that you go to school with for 8 years or whatever, and you struggling, you're in debt. I don't get it. But this is the working world. They will force you. Let me tell you something. This system, it has it set up in the working world for slavery so bad that now you can't even retire until you're in the 70s now. So let's imagine if you want to be a doctor. You go to school for 4 years in college. Then you leave that. Then you got to go to medical school for another 8 years. How old is you by the time you become a doctor? 45, 50? That's your whole fucking life. You went to school for nothing. Slavery is debt. Now, once you get all of that and you start to get a job, now you got to pay your debt off. Damn, you ain't really had no fun. This is the system. Government and prison politics. So if they can't get you in the prison of DOC, they'll get you in prison in the working world. And this is another reason why they don't want people like ourselves to have our own business and our own distribution. Because people of color are the biggest slaves in America. We control the culture, we control the fashion, we control the art, we control the dancing. We tell the world what music and culture is now. I just see somewhere on TikTok they had this dude in Thailand. He was battle rapping. He was like ka 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 ka. I was like, what the fuck? But this is the mindset people follow us even in our madness. So if you become like, Michael Jackson and all these people that want to give back to the community and build it so you could get out of that servitude and be independent, they're going to railroad you. You're going to be in there like Diddy. You're going to be in there like R. Kelly. You're going to be in there like Bill Cosby. 50 Cent said it best. He said he was making money for liquor companies, right? He was making money for liquor companies. And when he started making money for the liquor companies, it was all good until he started talking about he wanted to do his own thing. Now that's when the problem came in. You see what I'm saying? You make them money. See, it's all levels. See, you have the levels like when it became hip hop, Puffy, Rockefeller, Bad Boy, all of that. You can have all your record labels. But Universal Records, and all of them, you're under us. We're the umbrella. You are slaves. You do what we tell you to do. So if we want some gangster stuff to go out, we gonna get some gangster stuff to go out. But see, now all these dudes in my age with all these gangster rap that used to talking, they starting to talk different. They start talking about taking care of their families. They're not really talking about no prison and running the streets with the guns. They ain't talking about all of this and that. They talking about stocks. They talking about owning businesses. They talking about building community. The system said, oh no. We can't have this. They changing it. Jay-Z and them, they talking something different. Let's bring in that drill rap. Let's bring in that drill rap. See, they did it with us with NWA. Look what they did with the drill rap. Now it's all over YouTube. They try to bring it out. They tried. They tried to say, listen, now that gang culture is everywhere. We got Bloods, we got Crips. It's worse than when I came up. When I came up, it was just, Latin Kings and that. It was mostly a lot of Spanish gangs, you know what I'm saying, that came from their country. So they was more amongst themselves. And black people, we only had, we was either Muslims or we was part of the Nation of Gods and Earths, or we were just part of a gang from our street, our block. You know what I'm saying? Our little crews. You know what I mean? Now that you got Bloods, you got Crips, you got GDs, you got folks, you got all this other crazy stuff from all different locations of the country that's now in New York City. It's a big melting pot of gang culture. They said, this is beautiful. Oh, we can make even more money in the prison system now. What? We got all this gang culture out here and they just killing each other for no reason. Listen, we're not going to crack down on the scooters. We're not going to crack down on the gang culture. We ain't going to be doing sweeps like that. We're going to let them kill themselves. So we're going to keep the guns coming in like we used to do. We're going to keep the drugs coming in like we used to do. Because I know you ain't making no Oxycontin in no projects. You don't even know how to do algebra. So I know you don't know how to measure and do all that chemical stuff. So let's stop. Not to disrespect you. I want you to think. You understand what I'm saying? So now they got the drill rap coming in. Now they watching you. Let me tell you something, man. The feds watch everything. As a matter of fact, we ain't even gonna talk about this. The feds, man, they had hip hop police since the Biggie and Tupac era. You notice they don't even talk about hip hop police no more, right? Because they're underground. They are called the intelligence program. They're just there to collect the intelligence before they make a bust and give it to the squad that needs to make the bust. So here it is, you all on YouTube. Yeah, we killed Tito and Vito and Lito and all these motherfuckers. And you got your face up there and they're like this. Okay, he killed who? Oh, okay. We're going to wrestle now. We're not going to wrestle now. We're going to wait like 6 months to a year. And then we're going to come from the next you know, you under a 30-man indictment. And you talking about what? Yeah, for something you did in 2010. Wait a minute, it's 2024. What's going on? But that's how they move. They don't come get you right then and there. They build the case. That's like the feds. That's what they do. They wait and build a case for years. So by the time when they come get you, they got you. It's either you're going to take the time or you're going to be snitching. See the setup? And everybody making money. The feds are still making money because they're gonna get finances from the government. You understand? The state gonna get finances from the government. Then you got the census where everybody. Come on, man, this is big business, man. You just out the loop. You out the loop. So when I came home and I got all this intelligence, I made up in my mind. I said, yo, that's it. You're not making me into no sucker to get no name. And then I got to go in the streets and get a name for some crew or whatever. And then I get locked up. And then my people's is not there. I got to beg for money. I got to beg my girl for money. I'm supposed to be the man in the house. And I'm begging my girl for money. That's a man to you? No, for real. That's a gangster to you? I know the gangsters that I read about. When they got locked up, first of all, the gangsters I read about, it was hard for them to get locked up because they were sending people to do stuff for them and they had money. They had police in their pocket. They had politicians in their pocket. They had money like Diddy, $50 million bail. They had money like that. You understand? And if they did have to do time in prison, they had so much money, they controlled the COs. So if you're not living on that level, I think my suggestion is you should figure something else out, because the street game, that's not it, man. That shit is a that's why they call it the trap house. It's a trap. You don't make the drugs. You don't make the guns. They put it. You don't even know how it got into the community. Your man said, "Yeah, I got the hammer, son." You like, "Word, yeah, I got something coming in." How you getting it coming? Because you don't make it. You ain't got no access to the border. Even the dude you got it from don't got access to the border. Because the people that got access to the border, that's a whole different level. They ain't got nothing to do with you. They ain't got nothing to do with you. You can't even get a job. So you ain't on that level. Like I said, it's always levels to the shit. In the street game, the drug game, it's all levels to the shit. Let me tell you something. When I was in the drug game, I used to sell weed, right? I sell a lot of weed. And one of the things, one of the connects I had, I used to get it in, the Mito can, those big round cans, and they used to have either like flour or whatever in it. The cans was sealed, and I used to be like, yo, this is different, because he started giving it to me different, and he was like, yeah, I got a different connect. Now he had a different connect. So I was like, damn, well, I know what I'm getting. He said, listen, you open it, you buy it. You dealt with me long enough, you already know I got fire. Now, when I took it home and I opened the cans, of course, it was crazy. This was when, the weed was coming with no seeds. This was like 2011. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh my God, what? People were still smoking the seeds with the greens. So I was like, yo, where you getting it from? It ain't grown in Harlem. You ain't got to steal nothing in no cans. That means it was coming from overseas. But he wasn't on that level. He was getting it from somebody who was getting it from somebody who was getting it from somebody. And it's the government. Prime example. So 9/11 happened. And then you had Afghanistan, right? They ran over there in Afghanistan. You thought, oh, they trying to get Osama bin Laden and the Taliban and all of this crap. Now, we all found out later on that it wasn't really about no Taliban and no Osama bin Laden and all that. What it was really about was the poppy field in Afghanistan. That's where 90% of the heroin comes from in America. 90% of the heroin that comes from America. So the pharmaceutical companies that need heroin to make their Percocet and their Oxycontin, they need it from Afghanistan. Where the government needs to bring heroin into the black community to keep us off balance, they got to get it from Afghanistan. So they over there going to war for that poppy field. Well, I guess obviously they came to some sort of conclusion because America ain't over there and the Taliban still is. So much for the terrorists, as they called them, right? But now the drugs is in here, and now all y'all getting it. All of y'all getting high. See, they try to kill us all around the board with the prison system and the drugs and the guns and the gangs. Because when you so high, you ain't really focused. When I was growing up, you had some dudes that was on coke. Some dudes smoked wools, which means they had the weed with the crack and they smoked it. And this day and time, y'all kind of different. Y'all smoke cigarettes, smoke weed, drink, pop lean or pop pills all that one time, and then rap about it. So your mind is not even focused on building or anything. This is like a whole scheme. So hopefully you kill yourself with fentanyl, because they lacing it now with fentanyl. That ain't you. That's them, because they got the chemists. They lacing it with, and they bring it to the black community to kill you. Do you know white people have zero population growth? Meaning when one born, one dies. So imagine when they're actually also killing themselves. They said by 2045, they'll be nearly extinct in New York. Well, not nearly extinct, but they will be the minority in New York City and throughout the world. They can't have that. They need you and me to be the minority. So you keep killing yourself. They're going to keep putting the guns there. They're going to keep putting the drugs there. And then they're going to keep putting you in jail, which is called also birth control. Because you ain't making no babies. Ah, baby. You don't see it? Yo, Black community, they banging on you. The homies, the homeboys, GDs, or the flocks, they banging on you. What you gonna do about it? I'm just saying, I know when if somebody slap me, I'm gonna slap them back. Somebody slap you or kill one of your homeboys, what you gonna do? You gonna put it in, right? So what you gonna do? One of the things I did to get them back, let me show you what I do. They hate me more than they hate the person on the street that's killing at least 20 people every month or every year. You know why? One of the people that's most hated in the world is a person that's wise, who shares his information to the masses that's ignorant, to uplift the masses from that ignorance and from the control of the oppressor, because the oppressor benefits off their ignorance. So they don't like me. So also what I have done was I don't work for them. I don't like working for them. I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I have cousins that's Caucasian and I love them. I have an aunt that's white. I love her. So I'm not racist. I'm racist to a system. I'm prejudiced to a system. So what I've done is I help with my wife build the business for ourselves, and I encourage my people who I associate with to build the business as well. And I noticed that when I be on Facebook and I be engaging, doing the meta and doing the network and building my business, that I see a lot of Black people with their own business on social media. But so what I'm starting to see is the problem, like what Ice Cube went through. You understand? When you have influence and you have the opportunity to open doors for others, what they will do is put a stone wall in front of you so you don't have any distribution. It's crazy we don't have distribution, right? Because everything that's 100% pure comes from Africa. Everything. If they don't go to the Congo and get the minerals that they need in the caves, you will not have a cell phone. If they don't go to Sierra Leone in South Africa and get the rocks off the floor that they kick, which is diamonds, and they send it to Europe to get it cleaned and polished with chemicals to make it diamonds, it'd be nothing. I know you're saying, wait, you kick diamonds? Yeah. Diamonds are worth nothing. It only has value because Caucasian says it has a value. You don't believe me? Go through history. Read the Bible. Watch all those Joan of Arc and Spartacus shows. You notice they always talk about go for the gold and the silver and the rubies. You ever hear them talk about diamonds? It's no such thing. It's just that what they give you. And you are here killing people because you want to bling bling. And I'm not shitting on you again. I just want you to think about it. Diamonds are not real, and you out there killing for some shit that ain't even real. If the dollar falls, you can't even sell a diamond. You got to sell gold or silver or rubies, real rubies. You know, they don't promote rubies too much in the Black community. They don't want you knowing about rubies. They only want you knowing about silver and gold. But that's neither here nor there. But like I said, this is what I do to get back. I get back because I don't run the streets no more. I don't kill my own people no more. I want my own people to survive so they could give birth to bring more children into the future to give them hell. That's my revenge. That's what I do. I don't got time to go to jail. I don't got time to go to jail, look at magazines, and masturbate. Do you really want to do that? You want to look at magazines that been in everybody else's hand for the past 6 years before you got there, so you can masturbate to make yourself feel good. Meanwhile, when you was home, you had all the women at your disposal. You had all the females at your disposal. You had 2, 3 girlfriends at your disposal. But you was busy trying to impress people. And I understand. It's the gang culture. You know, we wasn't taught much when we got into school. Our parents is too busy. Some of them work day and they work night, and they wasn't taught anything in their school. So if they don't have no education to teach us, a dummy teaching the dummy, and then when you go to school, they teach you more stuff to make you more of a dummy. Now you either leave school and become a program dummy or a street dummy. Some of us, which is very, very rare, we slip out of that crack and we become independent and we do our things and we get out of that. We get out of that, that chokehold. You know what I mean? Rap was fortunate. The NBA, we was fortunate for that. That was like our first two stepping stones to get away from those crosshairs. You know what I mean? That's around the time they used to say, a black man by the time he turned 21, he gonna either be in jail or dead. They say that now. I won't even say 21. I say 16. Because the way these kids is running around now shooting each other for no reason, like, I don't get me wrong. When I was 16 and 14, we was doing it too. So I ain't gonna make it seem like, oh, it's the new generation and y'all started it. Like my generation, we was doing that at 14 and 13, running around with techs and Uzis. I don't know how we was getting it at that age, but we was getting it. We knew somebody in the hood. In the hood. Mac 10s is not made in the hood, but we was getting it in the hood. That means it was coming from overseas. Somebody was setting this all up, man. It was setting this all up. So that's why I decided to make this today. You know what I mean? I see y'all up there. Y'all got any questions? Y'all got any questions? Oh, I gotta see. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. I'm trying to do something here. Okay, okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get back to where I'm at, y'all. Oh man. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. It's not, I'm new to this, so I'm just trying to figure some things out. Because I know the next time I come up here, I want to be able to share stuff with y'all. You know. Okay. All right, so we back at it. So anybody got any questions out there? I know y'all probably feeling like, yo, man, he went, he going in on the streets. Yeah, but no, I ain't going on the streets, man. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody know what I'm talking about because what the hell? Oh man. All right. See, I went messing with this. I went messing with this, and hopefully, just give me a few, y'all. Just give me a few. All right. All right. So Why is it like? All right. So here we go. All right. So anybody got they got anything to say before I go? Something about the log out. You know. I know one thing. You ain't gonna never catch me going to jail again. Straight up. That shit is for suckers. You can't do nothing in prison, man. You can't make no money. You can't get no sex. You can't use the phone when you want. You can't, and you know how it is. You know how it is. We like our phones, man. Like can't do nothing. So give me. I'm gonna wait till some questions is asked. If ain't no questions. You know. All right. So with that being said, me in this. Yeah, enjoy. Y'all just hit y'all notifications. Hit that notification bell so y'all know when my next podcast will be. I appreciate y'all for logging on and listening to a brother, man. Next thing I'm gonna come back. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about next time, but hit that like I said, that notification, that bell, so you'll know when I'll get back on. Hit the subscribe button. So with that being said, peace and blessings, man.